What's up, guys? So it's Andrew. I'm here to talk about training that looks good for the people who are not technical proficient, technical effective, or subject experts. What you're about to see looks good to people who do not know what they're looking at or what they're looking for. So, as we watch this video, let's try to see if you can point out what's good and what's bad. Good or bad? That's good. The dog is going for an area as close as possible to the weapon on the strong arm, which means the dominant side, the arm that usually will have a weapon if a weapon is carried. It's going for that. And notice it's not biting and holding, it's actually pushing the bite into a spin, causing the guy to spin. See? Now, that was good. This is where it gets flawed. If you have to push to get the subject down, once the subject's down, the dog no longer needs to push. It no longer needs to bite and hold. It needs to fight through. It needs to keep in the action. It's fighting until it's touched. As it's getting touched, see, it's coming down a little bit. One reason a dog should not be touched by anybody, but another reason too, see how his hand's up? What if that hand goes to grab a weapon? What if that hand becomes violent towards this canine? What does the canine do? Does it recognize it as a threat? Or does the canine recognize it as something that's play in a game? Let's play this through again. Dog is released. Dog comes in for the bite. Notice it doesn't go for the strong, or notice how it doesn't go for the weak arm, the one that's closest to it. It goes for the strong arm. That's good. But this is being done just to make a sales pitch. These guys still don't know what they're doing. It's because they heard people like me talk about it and they're like, okay, well, that's going to get better sales because that actually makes sense to have the dog to bite the wrist or close to the wrist as possible on the strong arm or the dominant side. But this is where they flawed, because they touching that dog. That dog should do what is called a transfer bite, because it should recognize the other hand as a threat. Because in a real life situation, this dog bites, this dog fights, and does what it needs to. It's turning flesh, it's causing damage to the arm, it's taking the arm out of the game, making it effective. So in real life, if that happens, this guy is no longer going to be able to use that strong arm as a threat. And the more the dog fights, if he has to, he can go back and forth between arms as long as it takes until the subject is apprehended. But nothing at all should be touching that canine. He should recognize it as a threat. In this situation, see how the dog is across the guy's body? No, he should not be across the guy's body. What he should be doing, or where he should be at, is right here on the right side of that guy, pulling that guy outward at least, if he can't get the guy on his stomach. In this situation, he's either going to be there or he's going to pulling straight off the heel of the guy. But with it, though, it causes the guy to get to his knees, and the guy could be able to stand up. So the dog has to pull and not give up the fight. He has to keep pulling, and when the guy gets ready to go to his knees, the dog needs to drag right. So it's obvious the guy needs to go to the right, so the dog needs to be more so on the right, pulling the guy at least on his side to the right. If the dog stays in that position, he at least needs to pull to the left. He needs to get his legs where they're not in between the guy's legs. He needs to pull over and pull the guy to the left onto his stomach, because that right there should not be happening. The dog should be recognizing any touch as a threat. And now see how I talk about people say that you touch the dog to calm it down, you encourage it to take the bite and keep the bite and hold. In a way, yes, because the dog wants to fight because you recognize naturally that it's a threat. But you should not be doing it to calm the dog down, because calming the dog gets it to prematurely release. And it takes its mind and its focus out of the fight. The dog needs to fight as much as possible. And also, touching the dog, especially if you touch it around the collar area, like that right there, it gets the dog where the dog doesn't understand to let go when it's time to let go. On this one, I talk a lot about having a dog between the legs. In this situation, because he doesn't have a line on the dog, that's okay. But the only reason he's doing that is because the dog is hyped up. If the dog was calm and the dog was actually real and it wasn't just doing a bullshit show of the routine to suck his performance, if the dog actually was like, hey, I'm going to engage when you tell me to, I don't have to do all this acting retarded stuff, then there's no need for that dog to be between his legs. Good deployment, the dog goes straight, and that's how you want it. You want the dog, if it attacks, you want it to try to be on the outside so it actually has more opportunities to pull the subject instead of being where it has to drag across. In this situation, he can pull it directly back, he can pull it in any direction and get the guy off balance some more. But he's biting and holding, he's not pulling. Yes, he's fighting and trying to pull, but he's not doing it effective, because in the end, what he's trying to do is just bite and hold. But see how I was talking about the legs? He needs to pull, he doesn't need to stand there and fight, and he doesn't need to stay in that area. He needs to pull either to the left or to the right. Any questions, comments, or concerns?